Making Chicken Salad this week is brought to you by 3 Count Pro Wrestling Academy. Are you in Brisbane and thought about learning to be a wrestler? Well, here's your chance. 3 Count Pro Wrestling Academy are based out of Beenleigh in Queensland, and they're committed to teaching the best, safest way to learn the art of professional wrestling. Hit up their Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or email admin@3countfitness.com now to register your interest, and we thank them so much for supporting the show.
Here I was, blaming AEW for feeding you chicken shit, knowing you mindless millennials would be eating it up as if it were chicken salad, when it's really been your fault all along.
Make chicken salad out of chicken shit. People is as people does, that's all there is to it. But a square peg in a round hole just never seems to fit, and you can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit.
Welcome everyone to Making Chicken Salad, the Wrestle Radio Australia podcast where we talk about all things going on in the world of international wrestling. I am the G1 Climax winner by default, Lachlan Albert, and joining me as always is the man with the injured arm, Todd Eastman. Todd, how you doing, brother?
I was hoping you'd call me the 5-minute exhibition match, because it's about the only gas I have, really.
5-minute wonder. There you go, mate. All right. Well, look, we got plenty to get into today, so let's hop into some of the biggest news that's hit the wrestling world in a while. Ring of Honor is going to be having all of their contracted talent not renewed at the end of the year. Those who had contracts beyond 2021 will be paid through March 31st, but they will not be future contracted Ring of Honor stars. There was a big announcement from Ring of Honor. I'll go ahead and read it out. It says, throughout the pandemic, our top priority was to keep everyone healthy and safe. And despite not producing any live events over 18 months, we were able to keep everyone fully contracted. We now find ourselves at a time where we need to make changes to our business operations and are planning a pivot for Ring of Honor with a new mission and strategy. The year will culminate with a final battle in December. We'll be taking the first quarter of 2022 to work internally and reimagine Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor has the most dedicated fans in the industry, and we appreciate their loyalty and patience as we reconceptualize ROH. We anticipate returning to live events in April for the Supercard of Honor with a new fan-focused product and provide a unique experience for wrestling fans. So it looks like if and when they return, it won't be using contracted talent. It's going to be per date arrangements, getting who they need for a show and then moving forward. Joe Koff, who's the COO for Ring of Honor, told talent that it was a Sinclair call made by, parent company. Ring of Honor TV is apparently going to continue through the hiatus, just using best of episodes. There's obviously a lot of talent who are going to be affected by this. And it's going to be a major change to what we think of when we think of, the big indies around the world. What are the repercussions that you're foreseeing here, Todd?
Well, even before the other rumors came out, I think the day it happened, after I talked to Brooksy in the morning, and he was up at 4:30 for a Zoom call so it looks like they just did a big Zoom call with the whole roster and let them all know then.
Definitely worth mentioning the Aussie talent involved, this being Wrestle Radio Australia. So Adam Brooks, Slex, and Kellyanne all were contracted to Ring of Honor. Happened right before the pandemic began, so they never actually got over to the US to be part of any of the programming. And looks like they're going to not be.
Yeah, I know Brooksy was contracted up till December. So there's that. They are still doing the Final Battle tapings, the tapings going into Final Battle, then Final Battle, the pay-per-view. But then after that, like I said, it was best of. The way I'm reading it and the way it looks, they're going back to being, if they do come back, that is, a purely indie product. It'll be like PWG, where they'll get guys in for we're going to tape for 4 days or a week.
Get some episodes down.
Get some episodes down, get the pay-per-view in. It's they have got the building booked in April in Dallas, which is where WrestleMania is as well for Supercard of Honor. I think that's what the show is. So as far as we know, that's still going ahead. But it'll be a very different, almost PWG ROH by the sounds of it, by the looks of it, going forward.
And that was my feeling as well, is it's going to mean that we don't have those ROH guys, it's going to be those PWG style shows where they get in whoever's a big name at the moment to put on some matches.
It's very much, and if you do the sort of a deeper dive into it, Sinclair apparently aren't doing the best at the moment, so they must have had to cut costs. And I mean, you can't fault them at all for what they did, because like they kept all these guys under contract, paid.
Absolutely.
They were probably the safest promotion in the world when they were doing their empty arena tapings. I'm talking
absolutely,
like between every match they were replacing the ring mats, the ropes, everything, and then sterilizing it in between. They were making sure people were tested going into the shows. They were making sure everything was like, if you weren't in any way part of the match or had to be there out there, you were nowhere near the ring. They were very, very careful to keep everybody safe when it comes to that. And you can tell by when you just look at all the guys that have been released, there's not one that have all shit talked Ring of Honor over it.
No, not at all.
It's all been like, thank you very much. You gave us like all of this stuff, blah, blah, blah. But it's there's a lot of talent now that is just floating. And I put on Facebook or Twitter that if somewhere like MLW, New Japan, if New Japan want to make inroads into North America, I'd be signing a handful of these guys to be on their strong shows.
Not to name names, but let's start naming names. Who are the talent from Ring of Honor that you think stand to be the biggest breakouts of not being on a Ring of Honor contract anymore? Who do you think is going to go into those big name places and really make a splash?
I don't know that there is like big names. There are guys that I love, like Jonathan Gresham.
That was the name I was going to pull up. You don't think Gresham's going to go somewhere and be a big deal?
I think he'll go somewhere and he'll be something. I don't see massive main event. I could see him if people get mad at me, if you want to be sarcastic about it, I can see a good Dynamite main event where they'll put him and Daniel Bryan against Bryan Danielson against each other, because it's again indie dream match. They'll do it. I wouldn't mind seeing like a GCW grab him and put him under contract.
Oh yeah,
so, because I'll talk about them a little later on. But yeah, they are making some moves, and it's really good to see. And I'm not a deathmatch fan at all. But the stuff that they're doing at the moment, and I'll talk about it later. So anyway.
But we've talked about that repeatedly. GCW is making a huge name for themselves lately and really making waves. If they pick up some of this talent, it'll be absolutely huge. For me, personally, the people I'm most excited coming out of this news, the people who I think can make the biggest impact is, and I know I sound like a broken record here, but there are some women coming from Ring of Honor who are going to be able to make an insane impact. People like Max the Impaler, like someone who brings a really unique look and style to a women's division that we don't get to see all the time. And then people like Roxy or Session Moth Martina, women who can really go out there and be strongholds for a division that, I would really like to see some places who shall remain nameless put that respect in the women's division, and getting those big names might do it. And again, not to be totally me, and everyone knows what I'm about to say, but Dark Order Hausen, please. I know people on Twitter have been talking about Danhausen a lot, especially after he was on the Jericho Cruise, being very buddy-buddy with a lot of the, Dark Order guys and comedy guys over in AEW. I think that dude is ready to be a massive name, and it seems like Cody Rhodes may have been hinting on Twitter that.
Yeah, I just don't want to see him get watered down by being there, if that makes sense.
Sure, but at the same time, I think this is, a company that has being the elite play into some feuds. Yeah. I think that when you've got someone like Danhausen who does all that YouTube stuff, that's what this company is AEW.
Yeah, I'll tell you that, like, if I was to put on my fantasy booking hat, I would sign Matt Taven and Michael Bennett.
Yep.
And have the Kingdom reform in AEW with Adam Cole with Maria.
That'd be killer.
If you could see the Kingdom versus the Super Elite with Kenny and the Bucks, to me that's money. And they could be like Taven Taven, although he's a natural heel, could be a babyface with Bennett and Cole.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Easily.
absolutely.
And like that's what because I used to hate. I said it before. I used to hate Matt Taven with a passion. I love him now. I think he is amazing because I've seen the maturation over the years. But you guys like, you can pretty much say like, Bandito has already been signed on GCW cards, so he's already like done that. Briscoes are actual GCW tag team champions at the moment, so they could just slide over to there quite easily because I don't know, with their past indiscretions on social media or that, they're not all that hot property when it comes to an AEW or a WWE.
No, I don't think AEW would want someone like the Briscoes because, you know, I personally am not a fan of the Briscoes because of some of the things that you hear and see from outside of the ring, you know, and that is going to color fan perception. And that's a huge thing for AEW. For me, the other big name I think that seems like an easy fit is Brody King. The guy is absolutely stellar. He's a big man who can move. You've got the potential Malachi Black doing Kings of the Black Throne. I think that one's an absolute home run as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you don't see him sign up to pair up with Malachi Black, because if at the moment it looks a little bit like, and it sounds weird, but it looks a bit like they're already sort of running out of ideas with Malachi. Like they did the big Cody thing, and now he's sort of like teaming with Andrade.
Yeah, well, let's get to that when we talk about AEW. But
that's what I'm saying. Like Brody King could slide into that quite easily.
I agree. I agree that it does seem like maybe Malachi needs something new to do, and that could be the thing that does it for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, that's huge news. I'm sure we'll have more to talk about with all of it, you know, in the coming weeks and months. We'll start seeing what comes out of this.
But guys like Slex and Adam Brooks, they should be signed by somebody. They really like these. They're two of the most unlucky guys. Slex at least got a couple of matches for Ring of Honor when he was under contract. Brooks, he never even got the chance. He got to the airport and then got turned around. Same with Kelly. Kel never got the chance either. Those two are two people that really need a chance to show on a world stage what they can do.
And it would not take much for, you know, if they got that opportunity. And again, I know that this is more us talking Aussie wrestling, but we've seen how good those guys are. They put on absolutely stellar work every time they go out there. And if they did that in front of more eyes, it'd be so obvious that they're world class. So obvious.
And also someone who is behind the scenes that you people at home or watching would not know of. There's a guy by the name of Zane Decker who works behind the scenes helping with vignettes and filming and all that. He actually worked up here in Queensland for a while with us, with AWA Grindhouse, filming our stuff in the early days. He does a lot of the producing with, I don't know if you ever saw it, but you know when they had the lead up to Taven and Vincent? That's another guy, Vincent. There's another guy that could be good as well. The lead up to that, Absolutely. They did the whole vignettes and all of that sort of thing. That was Zane working with those guys. And I know that Maria put him over as well when she did her goodbye sort of post. But that guy is going to be something. He's been working so long and hard to do something in that area. And having good video production guys are a real hard find. So someone
absolutely.
Like him should not be wasted. So I just want to throw that out.
And like we've seen in, you know, places like PWA in Australia, good video production can really make the difference in how a product is presented. It is absolutely massive. Anyway, we'll move on because we've got heaps of big news. And like I mentioned in the opener, the G1 Climax tournament has finished. The main event, the winner of A block versus the winner of B block, Okada versus Kodabushi, unfortunately finished due to referee stoppage. Ibushi went for a Phoenix splash, landed on his arm. Due to an injury to the arm, the referee stopped the match, declared Okada the winner. Okada has said that, you know, he didn't want it to end this way. He's got a lot of respect for Ibushi, has said that he wants to put the opportunity on the line against Ibushi to get a proper finish for it. But in saying that, Okada is also using the old IWGP title instead of the briefcase to stake his claim to that match, which is I think it's absolutely superb. That classic belt versus the new sleek design, really excellent. What are you thinking on that one, Todd?
Well, that's the thing too. You've got 3 guys now that are walking around with an IWGP heavyweight title at the moment. Watching the match, I didn't know if it was a work or not, but then you could tell not too long after that when they did like a close up of Okada, and you could tell he was like, "Oh shit," sort of thing.
It looks like this is one of those situations where I don't know if the planned finish was for Okada to win this one.
Yeah, that's the thing too. So it definitely leads a lot of questions going into Tokyo Dome, and if maybe they'll have Ibushi if he's good enough to come back. And I don't know the extent of the injury as of yet. They were talking like it was broken arm, but I think it's more shoulder.
Yeah,
by the sounds of it. And when you watch it again, it does. He sort of lands and sort of jars it. But yeah, it was a funky end to a funky G1, really.
Yeah, it was a weird one. And I kind of said that, I put over a bunch of the matches as we went through it, but it just felt weird the whole time, and having the weird finish doesn't help. I think that this is, in the late 90s and early 2000s, there was a lot of concern about whether hardcore wrestling was pushing the limits and was going to hurt people. And I think we've seen with the G1 and some things that have happened in AEW, the work rate today, I think, is starting to push people to do a lot of moves that are really risky over and over and over again. And we're seeing people get injured because of it, which is a shame. But that'll be ongoing. We'll see what happens with Ibushi. I'm a huge Ibushi fan. I'm wondering if maybe this is the thing that leads to him maybe even coming over to the US. We know that he's got that strong relationship with Omega, and did talk about, if we think way back, Kenny said he didn't want to ask Ibushi to come to AEW because he knows that Ibushi would say yes, and thought Ibushi deserved to be at the top of the mountain in New Japan. So that's going to be really interesting to see what that leads to. While we're talking about...
I was going to say that the next story you talk about is pretty much what saved that final.
That's exactly right. At the same event, there was a surprise return by someone who is apparently not yet cleared to compete. Shibata came back for a 5-minute UWF exhibition match against Zack Sabre Jr., and it was a ripper. Shibata did not take a lot of bumps, which good. I'm glad. He did do this awesome reversal of the Cobra twist into his own right as the time limit expired. That was really what an exciting match to have out of nowhere as a massive surprise.
Yeah, that's the thing. It wasn't in any way advertised. It wasn't, because I remember I was watching it on mute because my wife was watching MasterChef or something like that. So I was just watching it on mute. And then when you don't hear the music, you sort of go up to the screen. And I'm like, oh, okay, Shibata must be coming out to do something, present something to someone or something.
Yeah.
And then he came out wearing I was like, holy shit. I messaged quickly, found out that it was he didn't take any big bumps, and neither of them did, because it was a UWF exhibition match. So UWF back in the day is just pure grappling. There's no striking.
A wrestling match.
Yeah, exactly. There was no striking like that. But then after the match, Shibata gets on the mic and says, the next time you see me in the ring, it will be for a proper match. So I don't know what's going on with his recovery, or if he's just sort of over it and is going to risk it to get the biscuit, or what the story is. But
reports are coming out that he is not cleared for an in-ring return as of now. So either he is going to push through with whatever he needs to do to get in the ring, or, if it's going to be he can only work a part-time schedule, or can only work, maybe a UWF style, but without a time limit. We don't know. We'll have to see. But I tell you what, I think you're right in that it may have saved the event. It was so exciting to see that. It means that finish did not put the big dampen on the whole thing.
Yeah, well, coming out of the show, that's what everybody was talking about. No one was talking about well, there were people talking about the injury, but not as much as what you were hearing. Oh my God, Shibata was back, and there was no rumors. Wasn't even on the card.
Out of nowhere.
It was just like Zack Sabre walked out, and we're like, what the hell is he doing? And then Shibata, I was like, holy shit! And yeah, like as much as I'm not a fan of watching him like kill himself when he was out there, because when he was out there, it was a massively stiff style. That headbutt just looked dangerous because it was a legit headbutt. But there's something about the dude because he looked real, because half his shit was real.
Yeah, he would just absolutely go in and crack into it. So very exciting. On top of that, while we're talking about New Japan, we've got a double champion with Robbie Eagles holding both the junior heavyweight title and the junior heavyweight tag title with Tiger Mask as his partner. Huge congratulations to Robbie. One of the nicest guys there is, you know, showing the world what he can do over in New Japan. I was thrilled to see that. And I think it really shows that New Japan has a lot of trust in him, putting him with a guy like Tiger Mask, who has such a legacy.
Old Bobby Two Belts is when he was calling himself. Apparently he was that excited too that he forgot to do his shoey after this one.
Oh, devastating.
So
it's not a real title win then.
Yeah, but like now, I mean, any trivia that you listen to or you read is like, who's the first two guys to hold IWGP titles? They're both Robbie.
Yep.
He's the first guy to win a singles title. He's the first guy to win a tag title in that promotion, which is it's amazing. It's a great effort. And like we always say, there's not another person that deserves it more when we see a lot of these guys like succeed. And Robbie definitely fits that, because one of the nicest people, you won't hear a bad word said about old mate Robbie.
No, absolutely.
Congratulations to him. It was great to see. It was good to see. It was shocking, but it was good to see.
Speaking of Aussies winning titles overseas, let's talk about the Inspiration making their debut for Impact and becoming Knockouts Tag Team Champions. We mentioned last time that I don't particularly love people walking into a company and getting the title shot straight away. But at the same time, it's impossible not to have a soft spot for these two girls. Really thrilled to see them get those belts, because it means it definitely wasn't a one-off. They are there to stay. They're on contract. They will be there. And I mean, you know, their entrance was huge. Clearly, Impact is thinking of them as big prospects. So it was really good to see. Yeah,
it's good to see them being given the ball to run with. And we'll see what happens going forward with these guys. But
absolutely,
they gave him a massive entrance with a live singer, a promo before the match. Like if they'd have lost that match, they would have burnt the building, because the way they built them up going into it.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, congratulations to them.
Absolutely. So let's touch on what's gone on in AEW over the past couple of weeks. First off, we had the new AAA Tag Team Champions FTR defeating Lucha Brothers under masks. So this was the tag team selected by Andrade, the secret mask tag team, spoiled by old mate partway through the show, CM Punk. But, you know, I think that it's, like I've said, anytime FTR and Lucha Brothers are going at it, that's going to be an absolute belter. And I thought it was fantastic.
My favorite part of that is listening to like Tony and what's his name? Tony, JR, and Excalibur, like scrambling to try and cover with Punk saying, well, it's clearly them. You can see it's them. What are you talking about? It's clearly FTR. You can see him just going, will you shut up? Play along with it.
Yeah. And the thing that we were talking and we said, either it makes the commentators look dumb for not realizing in the first place, and they go, oh, it is FTR, and they look like idiots for only just realizing. Or they go, I'm not sure if it's FTR, and then it is FTR, and they look like idiots that way. So no winning there.
But yeah, I think we might have even talked about this last episode, I'm thinking, because I remember saying that they've done the exact same pattern as what they've done with Christian and Kenny Omega.
I think we talked about it at a show that we were at.
That could have been it. But yeah, they've done the same.
We're having a chat about it, but yeah,
they've done the same thing.
Absolutely.
Like they showed up, won a title that wasn't the AEW title, and now they'll go into this pay-per-view and probably not win the title off the Lucha Bros.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It just seems
the booking feels weird. It feels repetitive. I'm not going to complain when I'm getting FTR versus Lucha Brothers or something.
Not at all. But I like that the FTR are being used for one.
That's right.
Because for a while they just weren't. You didn't see them.
And when you've got, probably the best tag team I think that no matter who you talk to, FTR, Lucha Brothers, Young Bucks, they're in the top 10 tag teams in the world right now, all three of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a lot of arguing that.
No.
So having all three of them and not using some of them for extended periods of time, it feels wasteful.
What's and this isn't even in the rundown. What's your opinion on guys like Bryan Danielson and that doing dark episodes?
Look, so this is referring to Bryan Danielson came out as, I believe his name was Infinito.
No, he's also doing it. He's also doing a dark episode as Bryan Danielson.
He is doing dark as Bryan Danielson. I had not seen that one. But look, I think that, especially under the Infinito gimmick, which I think is very funny.
That's funny. Same thing with Cody and Fuego.
Yep, that's right. But if that's what they want to do, if they want to be out there wrestling, and it feels like Bryan wants to be out there wrestling, it feels like, he is not there because he wants to see the ratings in the demo beat what it's competing against. He's there because he wants to wrestle, and he wants to wrestle young guys and have fun doing it. So I think, good on him. If that's giving him a chance to wrestle, and that's, letting them get potentially more viewers on the YouTube show and continue storylines or whatever, that's great. Does it hurt the potential for main events when you're seeing him all the time? Maybe. But also, I think that AEW as a promotion are pushing the idea of these workhorse super wrestler talents. It's not like WWE where they're superstars and they wrestle once in a blue moon and they're these unkillable golden gods. It's all about wrestlers who wrestle and they're good at it and they want to prove that they're the best. So part of that is being a workhorse. And so I think that pushes the character forward rather than just taking away from the mystique of them wrestling. What do you think about it?
I understand your point of view completely. I also there is an economy in diminishing returns. And if you're seeing them all the time, then they just become part of the furniture. It's like, you remember, if you ever heard the term like store blindness, if you're in retail, it's a big thing, store blindness. Like a place can get dirty really quickly and you don't notice it because you sort of see it every day. You walk past it all the time. Like at first you see it, you go, oh shit, that's I have to go and pick that up. And if you might forget about it, then the next day you see it and you go, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Like after a while, it could be the fact that, well, he was on Dark last week. How's this a special match to me? I've seen him 3 times this week. That's my only thing. Like I understand that he wants to work and he wants to do all that, and that's awesome because we get to see all these great matches. Business-wise, I don't know how much sense it makes for them.
So I agree with you, and I had this thought the other day about I don't feel the way about people like, let's take it back to WWE, people like Cesaro, that I should, because Cesaro is one of the best wrestlers in years. And that guy does such good work, but he's just in a match every week. And you've seen it before. And the reason I realized this was they're going to do house shows in Europe with Cesaro versus Walter. And I thought to myself, Jesus, that's a match that could headline most promotions in the world. And they're going to, not put it on TV. But it comes with the fact that we're used to seeing guys like Cesaro wrestle every week. But then I also wonder, for a guy like Daniel Bryan, who's used to doing the WWE work, when you're doing house shows, what is it, 5 nights a week plus the shows, 4 nights a week plus the shows, maybe he's feeling like he's not wrestling as often as he was. Maybe wants to do it to keep the ring rust off, and he's gonna if he's gonna wrestle, then you might as well record it and put it on YouTube, right?
But see, that's also the problem with that is that, and they're not a live event company, which is fair enough. But if every time he's wrestling, it's being taped, so it's being seen. So that he's being seen and it's just being watered down.
Yeah.
So it's a thing. Like I understand. I don't know how it'll be going forward, but like at the moment, we're just loving getting all these matches.
Yeah. I think that it's very possible that in not long, when it's old hat, it's not going to be the same. But I think right now, the more Daniel Bryan can have fun wrestling and the fans get to watch it, I think that's a win.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk more about what's happening in AEW with Lance Archer suffering a neck sprain. He went to hit a moonsault on Dynamite, was miscued, landed right on his neck. No word on exactly how long he'll be out of action, but it'll be, a sprain is typically 4 to 6 weeks. But this is what I was talking about before, where a guy like Lance Archer does not really need to be doing moonsaults on weekly television. But
No.
because this is all about the work rate, that massive dude is going up and doing a moonsault and landing right on his neck, which is, credit to him for the fact that he can do a moonsault, and credit to him for, going out there and putting on a show. But it hurts me to see guys who could get by not going to the top rope and getting hurt because of it on a weekly TV show. If Brock Lesnar does it on WrestleMania and breaks his neck, that's one thing. But doing it on an episode of Dynamite, that hurts.
Doing it on a Wednesday night in Poughkeepsie is not exactly.
That's exactly it. So, I hope he gets better soon. Anything else you've got to say about that one, Todd?
Look, my biggest issue is, and I think it was brought up on another podcast, I can't remember what it was. I don't know why they just didn't stop the match straight away. They let him go through to a finish. Like the guy landed on his head and it obviously impacted his neck. He couldn't keep going. He was going to lose the match anyway. So what's the difference? It was very different to the Owen Hart, Steve Austin thing where Steve had to go over.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they had to keep that going. But with this, like Kingston was already winning.
Yeah.
So it's like, just let him win, referee stoppage.
Yep. That's it. And again, like with something like Austin and Hart, that bump is supposed to look kind of like that. Whereas what we saw was Archer spike his head into the middle of the ring. It was obviously bad, and it clearly should have been stopped.
Yeah, and also I don't care what the worker says. If he says he's good to go, it's up to that referee to be discretionary about it and say,
especially head and neck. Head and neck. With what we know about concussions and paralysis, it's not worth it.
And that's the one thing. It seems to be a sort of a pattern with AEW where I've seen it a few times now where guys have taken bad bumps where they knocked themselves stupid and the referees just let the match keep going. Matt Hardy being the biggest example of it during the pay-per-view. And then I think there was one with not Seidel, but Alex Reynolds. Alex Reynolds? No. One of the best friends. What's his name? Johnny. Not Johnny?
Trent?
Trent. Yeah, Johnny. Trent. Where I think Trent got knocked unconscious at one point and they just sort of like moved him and kept the match going. And it's a disturbing trend for me when I see it, because I notice with a lot of other promotions, if stuff like that happens, you just call the match straight away. Don't mess around with someone's like life. So, but yeah, I'm glad that he's okay and it's just a strain and hopefully he'll be back really soon.
Yeah, that's exactly right. All right, let's talk about some of the results from AEW Dynamite. This was the Halloween show, so we had CM Punk beat Bobby Fish. If you want to talk store blindless, let's talk about CM Punk, who, he's just a guy who has matches now. And I know that's something we were talking about, was we were excited to see him be a guy who has matches, but also the shine's off the apple. He's a guy who has matches. It was a good match.
Although leading up, like we will mention it later on, we might as well spoil it now. Kingston and Danielson had their match and Danielson went over, and then Kingston and Punk got into it backstage where they're arguing. So hopefully that might spark something in Punk where the promos alone, because the promos against those two will be really good. It looks like that might lead into Full Gear. So if it does, then we might actually see something different out of Punk than just like, I hope you guys aren't sick of seeing me come out and talk to you again because that's what it seems to
Because
be.
it feels
every
like
week.
he hasn't had a feud, right? Everything that he's been doing
No.
is coming out and then talking about a match he's going to have. It hasn't been a feud. There hasn't
Or-
been something where he wants to win.
Yeah, or it's been like a quick, like a week feud, like
Yep.
like this week with Bobby Fish. Bobby Fish attacked the guy after the match, so Punk came in and ran him off. It's like, I don't like bullies. Let's have a match, and that was it.
Yep. That's it. It's not a storyline. It's a thing that happened.
And the thing too is, like, if they keep doing this stuff with like Punk and Bryan, where they're just like going through all these guys, they're going to run out of guys in quick succession.
Yep. Absolutely. MJF beat some enhancement talent in Bryce Donovan. After the match, lights went out. Sting was in the ring with a baseball bat. MJF left the ring, and the Invisible Man was sitting in the audience, who took off his gear and revealed himself to be Darby Allin. We'll talk more about that very soon, I'm sure, because I know you've got some feelings about it, Todd. We had a TNT Championship match. Sammy Guevara defended his title against Ethan Page. And we're going to get Inner Circle versus American Top Team at Full Gear, 5 versus 5. Jericho's going to announce the members of American Top Team who'll compete in the match next week. It's apparently going to be a Minneapolis street fight. Speaking of this, and it's not on our run sheet, but there was some comments from one of the people who said they're not going to be doing AEW again because it's all fakey fake poo-poo.
Yeah, one of Ronda Rousey's friends.
Yeah. So that's interesting to see that, you know, not everyone's loving it as much as others. We know that some of these people are really enjoying doing the wrestling and feel like it's a fun way to put it out. But then you get people who went, no, not for me.
What is the over-under on Jericho picking Paige Van Sant to be one of the 5?
100%.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, I'll be shocked if it doesn't happen.
So, because when I saw him, like, she's the one that she turns up every week. I can't see him picking like Jorge because I don't know that UFC would allow that.
I don't think so.
Like Junior Dos Santos, I can see them allowing it and that sort of thing. And also Andre Arlovsky, because I don't think he might be still with UFC. He's either with UFC or he's with Bellator. But Paige is bare knuckle fighting now, so she's not in any way involved.
She can do whatever.
Yeah, she can do whatever she wants. So it'll be interesting to see who the other 3 are that they pick for that going forward.
Absolutely. We had a match in the TBS Women's Title Tournament. Sheeta going over Serena Deeb. Good to see these women back on the screen, if only for a quick match to move forward in a tournament.
It was a really good match, though. Like, I
was
like
good.
Karashita. Serena Deeb is an amazing worker. I love that she's taking Dean Malenko's. I love that she's taken Dean Malenko's moniker now. I love that. Yeah, really good match. Like I said, I love Karashita. Something about her work I really do enjoy. Yeah.
Oh, she's really good. And again, when you get matches like that, it shows the potential of the women in that women's division. That
they've got some amazing like female workers. They've also got some very bad ones, which they seem to be highlighting more than the very good ones they've got on roster. It's the same thing. WWE is the same thing. There's a lot of women that can really go, and you're seeing that the other girls that can't really go that much, like a Carmella, get a lot more like camera time.
It's not on our run sheet, but we'll mention it. It sounds like at Full Gear, we're going to have the challenger for Britt Baker's title is going to be Ty Conti. We've said before, Ty Conti's good. She's improving. She's still quite green, you know? So it is weird to have Serena Deeb and Hikaru Shida being in this tournament, you know, competing for spots to get this new title while Conti is there, you know, going for ostensibly what is the main women's title. It's an interesting situation, but, you know, I like seeing Conti improve. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Speaking of titles, we've got the AEW World Title Eliminator Tournament. We had Dark Order's number 10 versus John Moxley. Give you 3 guesses how that one went down.
Yeah,
you know, but
like, what are they doing with Moxley? Are they turning him heel or? Because that was
don't know.
Brutal. Like both matches the last couple of weeks with him have been brutal. Like he busted open 10 in this one, ripped open his mask.
me and a mate have been reading a little bit of John Moxley's book, and where he talks about WWE, and he talks about that bit where he was in the gas mask and feeling just like creatively broke. And it feels like this might be some long-term storytelling that he's looking for, you know, opening up the brutality, opening up that new attitude, and then using it to move forward with a long-term story, which is something that he didn't feel like he got to do in WWE. So I'd be happy for it to be a heel turn. I think that there's a lot of generic faces that are faces because they're people that everyone likes watching wrestle. So I think, you know, Moxley's been in that spot for a long time. He's been a face because everyone likes watching Moxley. Let's put some character in him. Let's turn him heel. I think it sounds great.
I mean, if they're going to lead up to a final at the pay-per-view of Bryan Danielson against John Moxley, having John Moxley as this brutal guy kind of works. And I could even see John Moxley going over Bryan Danielson in this match, because then you've got this brutal heel up against maybe a new champion in Adam Page. That's if they give Adam Page the belt. If Bryan Danielson wins, I'm thinking you're seeing Kenny Omega win.
Yep. I think so. Well, let's talk about, with that in mind, let's talk about what's happening in that main title feud. There was a big 8-man tag match with Dark Order, represented by Stu Grayson, Evil Uno, John Silver, and Colt Cabana, taking on the Elite, Kenny Omega, Adam Cole, and the Young Bucks. We obviously had being the Halloween show, Dark Order was in a variety of gear. We had a Kratos, and we had all sorts of stuff, including one of those classic 2-person horses. Meanwhile, the Elite were there as Ghostbusters, accompanied by the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man that we all assumed was, help me out, bald bloke with the camera.
Cutler,
thank you. That we all assumed was
I'm
Brandon
terrible
Cutler.
with names tonight, and you're trying to remember.
Oh, me too. Anyway, the match went on. Referee got knocked down. The Elite decided to take advantage. They did a big move onto their proton packs. The rest of Dark Order tried to make the save, but got dealt with. The front end of the 2-person horse costume got a big four-person V-trigger, the Elite trigger done to them, and they unmasked and revealed that it was Brandon Cutler with tape over his mouth. And Dark Order pulled most of the Elite out of the ring, and standing behind the one Jackson remaining in the ring was the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, who took off the head, revealed to be Adam Page, hit the buckshot lariat, got Omega in the ring, hit the dead eye on him, and there was a big dive off the turnbuckle from Stu Grayson into the remaining members of the Elite. So we get Dark Order standing tall with Adam Page. I thought it was a super cool moment. I think one of the greatest lines in commentary history is, "Then wait, who's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man?" I think that it was a fun segment that was also super cool wrestling. But I also know that you've got some thoughts about how the show was laid out, Todd.
Yeah, look, I'll probably do that in chicken shit later.
Sure.
Because I don't want to, like, it was a good moment. It was great. It was great television to take an Eric Bischoff line. It was great TV. But
great TV.
I like the fact that they're apparently this week, it's either Dynamite or Rampage, we're going to see Johnny Hungy against Adam Cole. Which is,
and I like that we're just calling him Johnny Hungy now. That's great.
That's just what I call him now, because I love him. I love this guy. I love him. I wish,
he's
like
so
I said
good.
A couple of weeks ago, I wish they'd have pulled the trigger with him and Reynolds against the Bucks.
I tell you what, all of the being Elite stuff that he is doing with Adam Cole is like, because Adam Cole's got that comedic timing down pat, and they are just an absolute crack up. I think that he has got so many places that he can go. And once again, let's sign Danhausen. Let's get Johnny Hungy and Danhausen doing backstage segments, please.
If he was a foot taller, he would be a world champion.
100%.
But yeah,
he's got all the tools except the height.
I love Johnny Hungy. Love Johnny Hungy.
All right, we've also got to talk about Bryan Danielson, Eddie Kingston on Rampage. Kingston passed out in the triangle choke while giving the finger to Danielson. Superb wrestling match. Danielson's going to either face Moxley or Orange Cassidy in the finals at Full Gear. Not much to say beyond what a great match.
Thank God for it, because the rest of that show was a chore. Even Seidel and Martin. Seidel and Martin was okay. It still had all the all
It
your
should have been
moves.
a great match, and it was a good match.
Yeah, but that there were rumors too during that main event of Baker against Abaddon, who Abaddon's not TV ready. She's just not. She's not a good wrestler. Great gimmick.
It's a great look, but she's green.
Yeah, exactly. Apparently, there were reports that people were leaving during that match in quick succession. So that was I left myself. I turned off before the end of that show. Someone was like, "This is terrible. I can't do this. I can't do this to myself." I'm on holidays.
And again, you're not putting Deeb through the tournament, but Abaddon's that green and she's going through. I love the gimmick, but I just
she didn't go through. She literally just got that match because of her gimmick, and it's Halloween.
Yeah, but and I get that you want to put Abaddon on the Halloween show, but I want more out of this women's division. I really do. And that means when you've got someone like Abaddon, giving them the chance to get better before they're put in that high pressure TV situation.
See, and that's the funny thing, right? Because I saw a tweet from her today saying, "I will not tone down my style for anyone." And I almost wanted to write, "I don't want you to tone your style down. I just want you to get better.
Yeah,
be a better
wrestler.
There's nothing about your gimmick. Your gimmick's great. If it wasn't for your gimmick, you wouldn't be booked anywhere because you're not very good. Yep. No offense, but you're not."
We love the PW line. Don't be shit.
I was like, there are a lot of people you say they're a great wrestler, and then the music stops.
Yeah,
and she is one of them. Unfortunately,
yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully, she'll get better because she's young into her career.
Yeah, there's a huge future for her. I just want to see more if it's on TV. Well, with that, we've got a lot of WWE to talk about as well from the past couple of weeks. So we'll go to a quick break, and after that, we'll have all the WWE news.
December 3rd, Max Watts. PWA returns home. Now we conquer live, December 3rd, live on Fight.
There's been a lot of news over in WWE over the past 2 weeks, so let's absolutely jump in. First of all, we got results from Crown Jewel. Let's fly through some of these really quickly. Usos defeated the Hurt Business by pinfall on the pre-show in really good match. There was a Hell in a Cell match where Edge beat Seth Rollins. Obviously, Edge and Seth are going to put on a great match. Notable that this match also had a female referee in Saudi Arabia, which is, pretty significant. And the match was great. Mansoor defeated Mustafa Ali by pinfall. What a shock that Mansoor is winning in Saudi Arabia.
He's the Goldberg of Saudi Arabia.
That's exactly right. You put Mansoor in Saudi Arabia, he cannot be beaten. It's like Undertaker at WrestleMania.
And then after that match too, they had that guy that came out with because you haven't seen Crown Jewel at all, have you?
I have not watched Crown Jewel.
No. But do you remember hearing the story in the Olympics, the guy that got disqualified in the karate for knocking out his opponent?
Yep.
He's a Saudi Arabia guy.
Right.
So he came out in a whole a hood and everything, got in the ring, took the hood off, and the place blew. You would think it was bloody like the next coming of Hulk Hogan.
Well, that's what I've heard from the show is that the crowd was red hot.
Yeah, he did a spin kick and knocked Ali out, which the crowd popped for again, and that was the big go home. It was a really good moment, and I didn't know who he was, but by the crowd, I'm like, he must be a big deal.
Yep.
Just by that crowd. But that was a good moment for that. Keep on rolling, son.
All right, we got Raw Tag Team Championship match. RK Bro retains over Styles and Omos. I don't know what the plan is moving forward with Styles and Omos. Styles feels too good to keep in a tag team with someone that green. Any thoughts?
I could watch Randy and Styles wrestle every week though. They just seem to mesh. That bit now that they've got where they both avoid each other's finish. That one goes for the slingshot, and the other one does that, and they do it at the same time. And like, I love that. I don't know how many times I can see it, but it still pops me every time.
It's just when guys know how to wrestle, it makes for a good match. It's it really weird like that.
It's so surprising.
Queen's Crown tournament final. Dewdrop was defeated by Zelina Vega to become the queen. She's then started speaking with a British accent and claiming dominion over WWE. Glad to see Zelina, get the rub there. But I think I heard someone say the entire tournament, bell to bell, was something like 12 minutes. So, you win some, you lose some.
Do you know one thing I do? And I know I've thought about this the other day. We all piled on, and myself included, why the fuck would you sign Eva Marie? But basically, they've just used Eva Marie to bring in Dewdrop, and then she seems to have disappeared, which I'm okay with, if that's the fact.
Eva Marie is a great heat magnet. It's perfect.
Anyway, roll on. Sorry, I keep interrupting.
But and I will go off on my little tangent here. Queen's Crown tournament apparently went 12 minutes bell to bell. Watching some MLW the other day, they had a 55-minute show, and the women's match took up 18 minutes of it. So, you can do it, folks. It's doable. Anyway, Falls Count Anywhere match between Goldberg and Bobby Lashley. Goldberg winning by pinfall. I've heard that this was actually good.
Yeah, it was. It was probably the best match Goldberg's had since coming back. So, yeah, very good. If you get a chance to watch it, and I understand people that don't want to watch it because of where it is and the reason why. That's I understand that completely, but it was a good match.
I feel icky enough supporting WWE in a lot of ways already. You add in the Saudi Arabia of it all and it becomes tough, But I think I might track down some ways to watch bits and pieces. We had the King of the Ring tournament final. Finn Balor was defeated by King Woods, Xavier Woods, after so much rallying, finally becoming King of the Ring. I think that this is absolutely excellent. I think that Woods is the only member of New Day not to be a world champion, and he's a King of the Ring. So I think that, real big congratulations to him.
And then this week, United Kofi. He's now Sir Kofi.
Fantastic. Sir Kofi. Brilliant. Having fun with the King gimmick. That's what I want. We had a WWE Championship match. Big E retaining the title over Drew McIntyre by pinfall. Big meaty men slapping meat. We had a triple threat SmackDown Women's Championship match, and Becky Lynch retained over Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks, which it seems like Becky Lynch has done the heel turn here. And I'm not mad at it. I'm fine with that. And if that means that we've got Bianca as the face chasing, that would work great for me. Mm-hmm. And then we've got the Universal Championship match. Roman Reigns defeating Brock Lesnar by pinfall. You were telling me that this had an awesome moment with Heyman throwing the title belt into the middle of the two men and shouting out, "You know what to do."
Yeah.
Keeping the interest in that story going. I think that Reigns is so good at the moment.
Yeah, they furthered it again this week on SmackDown, where last week Brock went and attacked all these people. He did what he said he was going to do. If I show up at SmackDown, he did what he said he was going to do, but he ended up beating everybody up, referees, Adam Pearce, everybody. So he subsequently has been indefinitely suspended, and he got fined $1 million.
And fined $1 million.
$1 million. But then they cut to afterwards, Kayla talking with Paul. And Paul starts off with, he didn't beat Roman Reigns, but then starts almost cutting a promo for Brock about how he got, what he did when he rocked up and how he got. Then he caught himself and went back into. It's just these little things. Paul Heyman, it's so good.
Heyman has been a wrestling fan for longer than we've been alive. You know what I mean? And the man knows what he is doing. You look back to the Dangerous Alliance in WCW, and he already got it. So the fact that he's doing great work now is not a surprise to anyone, but we love to see it.
But yeah, for what it was, being crown jewel and the amount of backlash they get for doing these, it was probably one of their best pay-per-views of the year, top to bottom. So, yeah.
Yes, well,
Hell in Cell was great.
Going from the pomp of Crown Jewel to NXT 2.0 having their first big event with Halloween Havoc. Let's go through some of these results. There was a Scareway to Hell ladder match for the women's tag team champions. Was won by Toxic Attraction. That's Gigi Dolan and JC Jane, taking the titles from Io Shirai and Zoe Stark, and also defeating the Aussie team of Indy Hartwell and Persia Perota, which, again, I love that the young Aussie girls are making NXT 2.0. They're showing up a lot. We'll talk more because Grayson was also on the cards, so we can mention that. But yeah, I think I've had Gigi Dolan picked for years as someone that would do well in WWE. She had a bit of a, shocking gimmick earlier, and she's done a really good job of transitioning that into the NXT 2.0, especially with Mandy Rose there as well.
I think we've probably seen the end of Io Shirai there. You might see her turn up at a SmackDown or a Raw, which would be really
Io's
good
been one of the best women's wrestlers in the world for a decade now.
Yeah.
So it's,
And
if she's main roster bound, that's not a shock.
Yeah, I could see her with Charlotte very easily. I could see her with Becky very easily. There are a lot of really good matches for her in that main roster area.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we've seen some of the things Io can do. One of my favorite matches of all time is actually Io versus Pentagon Jr. from Lucha Underground. She will go in a hardcore style against a dude with no reservations. There's so much that she can do. She deserves the main roster slot, so won't be surprised there. We had Joe Gacy defeat Malik Blade with interference from Haaland. Any thoughts on that one?
Haaland's going to be something. They're working him out, but he's going to be something. I know you're not a fan at all of the Gacy gimmick and all.
No,
if he's going to be this, if he's going to be this thing where he's a savant for Big Haaland, then it could be good. Could be very good.
Could be really good. We had a Diamond Mine Open Challenge for the Cruiserweight Championship. Roderick Strong defeated Odyssey Jones. Diamond Mine, as it grows, I'm getting to be a fan. Obviously, you've got one of the best managers in the world leading it, so that's fine. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential. I can't believe they still haven't mentioned that Hideki Suzuki is in that thing.
No, he was there, and then he's just hasn't been there.
Yeah, because I know he's a coach. He's an NXT coach. So.
Yeah. So he's got to be around, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, spin the wheel, make the deal match. We had a trick or street fight for the women's championship. Mandy Rose defeated Raquel Gonzalez with a little bit of help from an interfering Dakota Kai dressed as a Grim Reaper with a shovel. So it looks like we're getting Dakota Raquel as a feud. Dakota showing up from Raquel's past to relieve her of the title. Mandy Rose leading Toxic Attraction now with all three women's belts around their waist. I think it's basically going to be a women's version of Undisputed Era, and that sounds good to me.
It's good to see because Mandy was doing nothing in that main roster area. They just weren't getting. She's got the same thing. Unfortunately, as Liv Morgan could do so much more too, and then it's not giving her the push.
Honestly, up
coming
until
down to
this change, I could not tell the difference between Mandy Rose and Liv Morgan. They were in the same spot. I couldn't tell.
But coming down to NXT, maybe brushing up a bit more on her in-ring, the stuff she's been doing hasn't been bad at all. And it's almost like because she's got that experience now working TV, she's able to help other girls as well, which is a double bonus for him. You get her who gets the bit more of a push because she's in this place, but then she also gets to help the younger girls coming up. So yeah, it's been a win-win for Mandy Rose since coming down or going down.
Absolutely. We had Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal, the Lumberjack O-Lantern match for the tag team championships. Imperium defeating MSK to become the new tag team champions. Imperium now two-time champs. Obviously, great workers. MSK do awesome stuff. I've been reading a lot of boos in the NXT arena. And this stems from apparently one of them tweeted that they didn't like. Do you remember Izzy, who used to be the Bailey superfan. There was an indie show where Izzy took a choke slam, and one of the MSK guys tweeted that they didn't think that that was great. And so the NXT crowd have turned on them a bit. So you might be hearing MSK get some boos, even though they're supposed to be the good guys. That's all. That's crazy wrestling stuff.
That's another team too. Like, I think that they're gone. I think they're going to go, but they're going to go up to the main roster as well.
They don't need to be developmental. They've got it.
No, exactly. So I think that you'll see them. That's why they put it on Imperium, because Imperium still got that Walter link. So I don't think they'll take them up. So but they can work against so many tag teams in that division. You got new tag teams coming through. You've got So
stuff like MSK versus Street Profits is just going to be great. Like, let's just have that.
Exactly. You got them. You got Usos. You got New Day. There's so many you can choose from where they'll be really good matches. They remind me a lot of London and Kendrick.
Yeah, I loved London and Kendrick. Wow, that was a flashback with the masks. Anyway, and we did have the NXT Championship match with Ciampa retaining over Bron Breakker. Bron Breakker has been the topic of, I think, a lot of conversation coming out of this. He had some fun interactions with Chucky that referenced some Rick Steiner interactions with Chucky back in WCW on Nitro. He was also wearing his dad's boots, you were saying.
Yeah, I noticed he was wearing, and like, not his original boots, because he always wore mismatched boots when he was like one of the Steiner brothers. But near the end, he had those bite me ones, like, because that was his catchphrase: "If you don't like me, bite me." Because he was the dog-faced gremlin. Yeah. But yeah, he was wearing those. I don't know if they were exactly his boots or they were just ones he had made up. But I think it was Jim Cornette that was saying that he is a perfect smash of Scott and Rick Steiner. Does all of Rick and Scott's moves. Did a Frankenstein on the show. Did that move where the guy tries to leapfrog and he turns it into a power slam. Tommaso Ciampa, by the way, better Kratos than Stu Grayson. Let's just put it out there.
Obviously.
Let's put that out there.
My argument is that one was modern Kratos and one was God of War 3 Kratos. Right, that's fine. Stu Grayson can be the original PS2 era Kratos. That's fine.
But one thing it did tell to me is that, like, Bron is green, but he can still go for a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
Like, you can see places where he's still green and needs that time. So I think it was a smart move than not having him beat Ciampa. Have him lose and have him have to build his way back up through some adversity to get a title, because it was all a little too quick, if you know what I mean, at the start. It was all like, just come in, get a title shot. I wish we could all do that. Hell, if you're in indie wrestling, most guys think they can do that now. But it's a thing. I like the fact that they might put some adversity. Maybe you'll see him turn, or maybe you see Ciampa turn a little Healy, or something like that. Or it's just like the sky's the limit. And it's developmental. Yeah.
He's green and he's going to get the opportunity to get better by working. That's what it's for.
Well, I tell you, most of these people on this card, each week, I'm seeing them get better. I'm seeing them. Yeah, absolutely. I'm seeing them mature. And I don't think it's going to be long till you see, like, the ratings are already starting to, because for a while there, they were dropping. And I see them starting to come up now, where I know it's a different time slot, it's a different day of the week. They beat Rampage this week in the ratings.
Yep.
So
Joe Gacy's a bigger draw than Daniel Bryan, it turns out. Anyway.
Please don't. Sorry, the opinions of Lachlan Albert do not represent those of Wrestle Radio Australia or their subsidiaries.
Anyway, no. Joking.
Guess what the ad's going to be for this week's show?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we've had a bit of a leaked schedule of WWE's plans for next year's big events, including a lot of Saturday events, notably. We've got a Royal Rumble scheduled for a Saturday. Obviously, WrestleMania is going to be the 2 days. We've got Money in the Bank and SummerSlam scheduled for Saturday, Survivor Series for a Saturday. A couple of big ones to note. Saturday, the 1st of January is going to be day one. So New Year's Day event for WWE in Atlanta. Notably, there's a couple where we don't know exactly what it's going to be. The big one there being a September 3 or September 4 Saturday or Sunday pay-per-view. There's rumors that WWE met with officials at Wembley Stadium and Millennium Stadium in Cardiff to talk about that September 3 or 4 Labor Day weekend pay-per-view. WWE
and
sources...
that would be a head-to-head pay-per-view weekend with AEW as well.
Yep. So I think, because the last time we had a pay-per-view over, over in the UK would have been SummerSlam 93, I want to say, with Davey Boy Smith.
And Brett, was that the last one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because they did ones that weren't really, they were big matches, but they were only really DVD releases.
That's exactly right. They were not pay-per-view events.
Yeah. It was
they were special events, but they weren't broadcast the way pay-per-views were, whereas this would be the time that they're doing that. So that'd be huge. WWE sources have also confirmed that February and October shows would be Saudi Arabia dates on Thursdays. So sounds like more Crown Jewel and Greatest Royal Rumble potentially.
Yeah, well, I mean, like if I'm taking just who they are, like Saudis, they make more money off those two shows than what they make.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You know what I mean? That's
like those shows are going to pay for WWE to run itself. That's
yeah. Like one of those shows alone is probably more than what AEW got paid for their TV rights.
Yep.
So if you put that into perspective.
Exactly. What are you thinking of some of these Saturday pay-per-views?
Like for us, I love that shit.
Oh, it couldn't get better for us, could it?
Yeah,
being able
I don't have to worry about
Mondays.
Yeah. That's the one
Not trying to pull your phone out whenever there's a break at work to see what the results are coming in. Nah, just watch it.
Like that's the one thing I loved about AEW when they first started. They were doing a lot of these Saturday pay-per-views, and then they moved to Sundays. And I was like, why are you doing that? You were different. That's what I liked about it. I got to watch them on a weekend. It's what I liked about takeovers. Takeovers were on Saturday nights in America, so I got to watch them on the Sunday. I know why they've done it, because originally they did it this year in Allegiant Stadium for SummerSlam, I think it was.
Yep.
Because Las Vegas sort of moved them there. Because it's a better night for tickets. It's a better night in Las Vegas. They sell more tickets and they get more people out on a Saturday night. So it was better for them to do it that. And it looks like they've looked at that model and go, well, maybe this can work other places. I also think that now that everything's on Peacock, they're not super reliant on viewer numbers. You don't need to have everyone at home on a Sunday night paying for the pay-per-view to watch the event. It's fine if they watch it the next night, on Peacock, because they're already paying their subscription. You don't need the viewers to be right there, and everyone's still going to have a chance to watch it before Raw. I think that it works for them. It definitely works for us here in Australia. It means I can have a Royal Rumble party because it's going to be on a Saturday. I'm not going to be working, So I'm personally thrilled about that. Some positive news. Former superstar Jimmy Wang Yang, aka James Young, started as a producer on Raw this week. Great to hear. Sorry, apparently Petey Williams did as well.
That's fantastic. It's good to hear guys getting in and getting work that's not going to wreck their bodies up if they're not still in the ring. There's said to be a new directive for hiring referees. They have to be shorter to make the talent look taller. This sounds like Vince to me. That just sounds like a classic Vince line. We need little referees so that the superstars look big.
I'm sorry, I don't hate it.
It's not the worst. It's not the worst, but it also, I think that for me, what I want out of a referee is to have the guts to call a match going wrong as going wrong. If someone's got their shoulders down, count the pin.
Yep.
But
they are. From what I know, WWE referees are told that.
Yeah.
It's up to the wrestler themselves. And like going off this other thing that they would like about the heights and all that, it reminds me of what they said. Like Sean Fuster, who works for Riot City Wrestling, also did the World Series Wrestling, the shows as a ring announcer. Sean is 6 something. Right. And apparently Austin Aries says he's got an amazing voice. I just wish he wasn't so damn tall.
Sounds like Austin Aries. Anyway, there's reportedly, we've got some issues with Charlotte Flair, the Flair Becky Lynch situation from SmackDown. It's being said that Flair has, quote, a long time more than a year left on her WWE contract that guarantees her 7 figures annually. Very interesting. Obviously, WWE sees Flair as money. They want to have her around. What's your take?
I don't know what's going on with her. Seriously, it's almost like she's acting out. I don't know why. Do you know what I mean? Like her dad asked for his release, so they gave it to him. And it's like, I know that her other half is over in AEW and maybe she wants to join him, but you know what, mate? You signed a contract.
That's it. And for a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's been said a couple of times, and I'm not sure if this is the fact, but people have said that wrestling is not Charlotte's dream. It was her brother's dream, and she's, taken that and done it. So, it's a question of what she cares about. We know that, maybe she would rather be with her husband than make 7 figures a year, and that's what it is, but she's on a contract, so she's got to be there.
Yeah. The situation, if people don't know, is that last week on SmackDown, they were doing the title exchange. Now, the title exchange was booked to be Becky rips the title from Charlotte and holds both belts up and then throws the other belt down or something like that. And apparently Charlotte didn't like that because she thought it made her look weak. So she just didn't go with the plan and dropped the belt in the ring. During the live thing. So you even hear Sonya Deville off mic going, pick the title up like that. Apparently after that, backstage, her and Becky got into it, screaming, and then apparently also Sonya got into it with her as well. There was some yelling at Vince as well as she walked out. Then apparently she was escorted out of the building on that day because Becky still had a match.
This is, correct me if I'm wrong, sure does sound like a wrestler to be complaining that the booking makes them look weak and go, not going along with it. That's, for any local indie company, that'd be, your champ every other week. It is, when you hear it from someone who is making 7 figures a year on a 5-year contract, that's, definitely a big deal. But we're dealing with big egos here.
It's also though, I'm a big proponent of, you might not like the booking. You're getting paid to do a job. Do the booking.
Yep.
Do what the people that are paying your salary are telling you to do. Do what the people that are running the promotion tell you to do.
Especially because if you look weak, that's money out of the promoter's pocket. The promoter is benefited by making you look strong. That's anyway.
You're winning every week. If you're worried about a 5-second thing, then I don't know what that says about you.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, it's time for the best news this fortnight, and that's that our Roads to the Top recap is not happening. There was a tie for That's Debatable last fortnight, so we don't have to listen to what's going on in the life of Cody Rhodes and his wife, Brandy, this fortnight.
And I have more good news for you. The season is over.
Yay! Man,
so I'm going to have to think of something else.
We're going to think of... I don't know if we can come up with something as horrible as having to watch Roads to the Top, but that leads us to...
Speaking of horrible things today, I don't like to... I don't advertise it a hell of a lot, but I like to collect action figures. When it comes to the wrestling figures, I like collecting figures of wrestlers I like. So I don't do sets or anything like that. I just do dudes I like. So I've been looking everywhere for the AEW figures because I just couldn't. I can't find them in Queensland. I went to my local toy shop that I go to a lot. They finally had some AEW figures in there. They had 2 Brandys, a Kenny, and the Bucks, and a Jericho. I'm like, well, I don't need any of these. I'll see you later.
I'll be okay. Anyway, with that, let's go on to one of the most fun segments we've got. Play the music.
That's debatable.
Time to play.
That's debatable.
And after that copyright strike, it's time for That's Debatable. This is a segment we do where we each have 60 seconds to make an argument on a topic that gets decided beforehand. We randomly get assigned which side of the argument we have to argue for. And we get 60 seconds each, and you, the viewers and listeners, are going to vote on who had the better argument. Once again, who had the better argument for their side. So,
and Barb, you don't just have to vote on Twitter. She put a comment on the actual YouTube video saying, well, I don't use Twitter, so I can't vote. I'm like, no, you can vote on the Insta, you can vote on the...
So let's throw out those social media tags right now. It's Wrestle Radio AU for Twitter and Instagram. It's Wrestle Radio Australia on Facebook. So head on over there. You'll be able to see the arguments cut for the 60 seconds. You'll be able to vote on who you think have the better argument. So today, our question is, did AEW's formation lead to where Ring of Honor is today? So this is talking about, has Ring of Honor's, canceling of all these contracts, is this a result of Ring of Honor? So, Todd, heads or tails for me, mate?
You call it, because I call them every week.
Yeah, because I'm flipping it, mate.
Oh, okay. Well, then heads. I'll shut the fuck up then.
My coin's flipping. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's tails. Finally, I get to pick my side of the argument. And I'm going to go on the negative. I'm going to say no, AEW's formation did not lead to where Ring of Honor is today. So I am going to, you normally get the first argument, so I'll fire away first.
Good.
So I am going to start. That's exactly right. I'm going to start my time now. AEW is not the reason that Ring of Honor is folding. The reason Ring of Honor is folding is another 3-letter promotion. It's NXT. NXT TakeOver was the nail in the coffin for Ring of Honor. It took some time, but it got there. If you want to see Claudio Castagnoli have a 2 out of 3 falls match with El Generico, now you can watch it for $9.99 a month with the best camera equipment that money can buy, rather than having to go to a little bingo hall and watch it or pay $40 for a DVD. Once we had indie wrestlers working streamed regularly at high quality broadcasts, that was it for Ring of Honor. Did AEW help push that forward? Sure, but NXT is what made it happen. And then the explosion of indie promotions around the world streaming their content for everyone to see meant that Ring of Honor was not special for putting on great matches every show. You could see it anywhere. That's my minute.
Not bad. But
ready for your time, Todd? Yeah, let's go ahead and counter it. Your time starts now.
AEW's formation directly came from Ring of Honor. If it wasn't for Ring of Honor, there would have been no All In, because All In had used all of Ring of Honor's equipment. They used all of their, they was basically sponsored by Ring of Honor. And then after that show, instead of going with Sinclair didn't go with the Hardys, the Young Bucks and Kenny and all that. They went to Mr. Khan, who formed basically ROH 2 with more money than whatever like Sinclair was ever going to put into the show. Basically taking what was most of the top stars of Ring of Honor at that time and forming this new promotion. It might not have led to ROH dying straight away, but it put the rot in, because it's been very hard for them to recover ever since those glory days of New Japan. And
there's your time, Todd. All right. So who had the better argument there? Go on to Wrestle Radio AU on Twitter, Wrestle Radio AU on Instagram, Wrestle Radio Australia on Facebook. Put your votes in. We are going to come up with a horrible, awful, no good, very bad punishment for whoever does not get more votes on their argument, who argued the point better. You can disagree with the person you vote for, but who do you think put forward the better argument? Because
I clearly smashed you on that one. So this is wrestling. And I apologize. For that.
Well, you can be the one claiming to win this week. I know I normally do it and talk about how mine was better. I'll let you have this one. We'll see what the fans think.
Like you might get more votes, but if we look at the demo,
right, of course,
I will have easily have beaten you. So
yeah,
I won.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, and that's what it all comes down to, really, isn't it?
That's right. It's demo business, brother.
That's right. So whoever Barb votes for is really won.
Barb's our demo.
Yeah, that's right. So let's move on to the segment that we're named for, Chicken Salad and Chicken Shit. We're going to talk about the things that we loved in wrestling this week and the things that we didn't love. Now, we talked about how we were going to mention it earlier, Todd. I think it's time for you to fire away. What was your chicken shit this week?
My chicken shit purely was the booking of that Dynamite show. If you are going to do something like they did at the end of that show with Adam Page as Marshmallow Man hiding in that costume for the whole match to be revealed and to attack it, you don't do the same thing 90 minutes, or basically the same thing 90 minutes earlier with Darby Allin and MJF. It's to me, I don't understand, and I don't know how they're getting a pass from wrestling media because of this. Because to me, it was blatant. I still like almost exactly to the camera shots they used. I took like screenshots of the screen, and you can see that it's basically the same camera shot. So they knew because they planned
the
out
reveal behind the other guy.
Yeah, they knew before it happened that this was going to happen twice on their show, and they still went, "No, we'll do it. No, it'll be fine." I don't understand. It's they do so well, and then it's sort of like they shoot themselves in the foot because they just go like, "You like this? Cool. We're going to give it to you now, and we'll give it to you again later, and we'll give it to you then." It's like I saw it before. Like if I'd only seen that Page thing at the end of the show, that would have been amazing to me. After that, like I was like, that was really cool. I saw it 90 minutes before. And that's the only reason about it. Like, it's nothing against like Adam Page and that, because they did what they were told to do. It's what they were told to do that was the problem. And it wasn't that, like, Alan shouldn't have done that. They shouldn't have been in the spot for Alan in that. If anything, it should have been lights out, lights come back on, and those two are in the ring. You didn't need to double it up where you have the lights out, lights on, Sting, then Darby Allin. It's as simple as that. And that's just, it's my opinion. And like I say on the other show, you're entitled to it. Yeah, to me, that was chicken shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I got my chicken shit. I took a lot of positives about MLW on this show. I really like what MLW is doing, but I think there's something that I fundamentally disagree with. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm a big Matt Cross fan. I think the guy is absolutely brilliant. I think he's a natural face. But it looks like going into War Chamber, we're turning Matt Cross heel so that he can come up against a face Enzo. Not a fan of this at all. It's possible that I'm, reading incorrectly what they're doing, but the fact that they're booking Enzo at all doesn't sit great with me. I can't see him. I don't see him as a draw. I don't see him as a good wrestler. I don't see him as someone who's going to benefit the locker room by being there. I don't know why you want to book Enzo. And I feel like Matt Cross is wasted against Enzo. Maybe he's one of the few people who can pull a possible match out of him. But I definitely don't think moving towards this, slightly, it seems like if anyone didn't see, he had a match against Calvin Tankman in the first round of the Opera Cup, where he claimed that Tankman got him in the eye when it didn't seem like that happened, and yelled at the referee and yelled at the crowd about it. It seems like we're going towards I'm only ever treated unfairly heel gimmick. I don't think it suits him, and I don't think that's right for going up against Enzo at all. So as I say, a lot of positives about MLW here, but at War Chamber, I hope that does not go the way it looks like it's going to go. Anyway,
and also this week, MLW released Jordan Olive and Jordan Oliver. Jordan Oliver is a friend of ours. Jordan Oliver and Mance Warner. So I don't know if that's maybe to make way for a couple of ROH guys, or it's just a matter of doing business. Who knows? But we'll see what that is going forward.
Yeah, and it's a shame, every wrestling company has their ups and downs, and I think it's very important that when we see chicken shit coming out of a company like MLW, it's important to call it out because, we do say a lot of good things, and I really do think it's a product worth watching, especially when it's out there free on YouTube, but we got to call them out when they're doing shit. I might take it away with a chicken salad after that. I don't know if you've gotten to see this match yet. I watched it when I woke up this morning, but Pro Wrestling Noah had Nakajima versus Tanaka, and wow, that's a hard-hitting match. These dudes go for over half an hour. They don't let up for a second. It looks like a sporting contest. At the end of it, you get one man who sits there lying out of breath on the canvas at the end of the match. They finally start getting their breath back. One's got the smile on his face, points at the camera. The other one is devastated and slamming the mat because he's disappointed in himself. Man, there's a lot of different types of wrestling I love. I love the silly lucha. I love the comedy wrestling. But sometimes you get wrestling and it looks like a contest. It looks like a war. It looks like a sport. And that's what Nakajima versus Tanaka was. And I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I thought it was fantastic.
Question, because I don't really watch Noah. Do they have English commentary?
No.
Okay. So I have a hard time watching stuff without English commentary.
It's possible there is a way to get English commentary for it, but not that I'm aware of. I just watch it with the Japanese commentary on. And for me, that doesn't bother me. I see live wrestling without commentary all the time, so that's totally fine by me. I can ignore the commentary. But it does make it hard if you don't know who's involved, you don't know,
that's why
history between guys. I totally, people aren't going to know who Nakajima and Tanaka are. If this is the first time you're hearing about them, you're not going to know that one of them is a legend who has been doing it for a long time and one of them is the champ, and you're not going to have that information. But I think that the match is quality enough that even if you don't know these guys and you're not going to understand the commentary, I think it's worth seeking out. It's a barn burner.
Okay.
What have you got for chicken salad this week, Todd?
I mentioned a little earlier.
I'll link you that match, by the way, Todd. It's worth a watch. I'll send it to you.
Please do, because I like my wrestling. It's something like, because I'm only, and I'll be honest with you, I think I'm a match in to the latest GCW show with the main event is Suzuki and Nick Cage, which I'm interested in because apparently from the reports I read, they didn't do a lot of deathmatchy stuff at all. There was no light tubes. There was no any of that. So I'm interested to see how that goes. But just by watching it, it's probably, I'm wearing the shirt today. GCW to me feels like ECW back in that day. They've got that rabid support. Those fans just pack in that arena. They're getting all these really good wrestlers coming in. That they are getting the guys that you would see show up at a PWG and all of that, but you're getting them on like a regular basis. You've got a good heel now and hopefully he sticks around, Matt Cardona, who they genuinely hate, some visceral heat that he gets.
Cardona is so good right now.
And the whole, all the time I say it, I'm not a deathmatch fan. I do not like death matches. I like these shows because the card underneath, it's the same as Deathmatch Down Under. I don't like the death matches. The card underneath makes it more than worth the price of admission to watch these shows. I'm such a fan of GCW at the moment. I never thought you would hear me say that because of how much I dislike deathmatch wrestling. But just the undercard matches that they put on, the people that they have. They brought in Hoovy not too long ago, was in one of those shows. You've got like Effie, who covers the whole like LBGT, the alphabet. I'm very bad at those, but he covers that area where he's got that block of fans that love him. You've got so much like diversity in that roster, and also like guys that you've never heard of, or if you're a hardcore wrestling fan, you've heard of. But for me, who I'm just really getting introduced to them now, watching them and just going, these guys are amazing. And I love the fact that they're in this smaller arenas with packed full of fans, and it's got me just fiending now to watch this big show at that Manhattan Center, is it?
I think so.
Yeah, where the big ECW show. It's got me fiending to watch that, to see what they put on into a big stage, because they're going to pack that place out as well. Everyone's talking.
While you're
about
talking,
this.
I want to mention, you brought up Effie. I do want to, give big props to GCW for supporting events like Effie's Big Gay Brunch, which is a show that is an LGBTQ plus focused wrestling show, and a show like For the Culture, which is a GCW backed show showcasing people of color, African-American wrestlers wrestling. And that becomes the core, push for the show. They are doing such good work having these shows that people who aren't there just because they're wrestling fans can come in and see themselves represented in wrestling. And that's phenomenal.
Well, they're doing that stuff. They're also doing all the Josh Barnett blood sports, which if you're a grappling fan, if you're a UWF fan, you want to watch those because they are great. It's a whole thing. I'm such a fan right now of GCW. I can see them taking that third spot that ROH was at very easily with the talent that they have on hand.
Oh yeah.
But that is I know it's a long one, but that was my chicken salad.
Oh, well deserved. And there's so many guys on that, roster that could just be, absolutely world level names. So, full credit to all of that. So
yeah, well, when we finish here, I'm going to go back and watch the rest of that card. So it was literally had to stop that so I can record this. But there was an opening. The opening match was like an 8-person. It was like an 8-way match, and just the stuff that they did was just insane. So
awesome stuff. So with that, if you are a listener or viewer of this podcast, there are some top quality wrestling recommendations for you. So absolutely go check it out. Make sure you're not, we talk a lot about what we don't like in the bigger promotions. So if you want to see the stuff that is really grabbing our attention, making us smile, making us realize we love wrestling, there's a whole heap of recommendations there for you. But importantly, if you haven't already,
sorry, before we do anything, Pro Wrestling League show is up on Australian Wrestling Network.
Yes.
So go and check that out. If you want to see what's coming out of Queensland as pertains to wrestling at the moment, go and check that out. I know it's not an international thing, but it's a big thing for Pro Wrestling League for them to be on the Australian Wrestling Network.
And a great main event between Tommy Knight and AJ Istria, Punch Drunk Istria. Really hard-hitting stuff. Speaking of Mr. Istria, if you are a fan of what's going on in Australian wrestling, make sure you are listening to Wrestle Radio Australia, because Todd here did an excellent interview with Punch Drunk Istria himself over on that main feed. Oh, mate, you do awesome work, so it's impossible.
That was actually really fun. Like, at the end of it, I was like, oh, I didn't expect us to go in that direction. That was fun.
So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to Wrestle Radio Australia. That includes what you're hearing here with Making Chicken Salad. It also includes everything that Todd does with Wrestle Radio Australia. It's free to subscribe. You can do it on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. Wherever you get your podcasts from, you can subscribe to Wrestle Radio Australia. If you're on Apple Podcasts especially, please give us a rating. Please give us a review. It really helps us get into more ears. It is really important for the growth of the podcast to keep us doing what we're doing, because we love talking wrestling, and getting you guys providing that feedback really does make a difference. On top of that, follow us on the social media. Wrestle Radio Australia on Facebook, Wrestle Radio AU on Twitter and Instagram. Give us a follow. You can do things like vote on our That's Debatable segment. So go in, decide who had the better argument for that one, and we'll come up with a punishment for it, because, your vote matters. We want to hear from you guys. Speaking of which, you can give us a follow on Twitter. Todd is at Beast Eastman. I am going to change my handle. I'm going to be at Lachlan Albert. I've got it dibsed because mine is garbage, so I'm about to go change it now. So, give us a follow. Let us know what you think of the show. You can also go over to Redbubble. Have a search for Wrestle Radio Australia there. We've got some merch that you can show off. And if you do, all the proceeds go to two charities that we love, Beyond Blue and help me out, Todd. There we go. Gotcha for life. Two, I don't know why I had the blank on that one. Two absolutely fantastic charities that really promote men's mental health here in Australia. So if that's something you want to support, and if you want to show off your dedication to our great product here at Wrestle Radio Australia, you can go over there. Anything else you want to promote, Todd?
The one thing I do want to say is that we've been doing the shows on YouTube now for about a year, and we're up to 150 subs. So I just want to thank everyone for subscribing for that sort of thing, and hopefully we can push it up higher as we keep going.
Fantastic. All right, Todd, it's always a pleasure to do this with you, mate. Thank you so much for joining me. To all the viewers and listeners out there, from Todd Eastman and myself, Lachlan Albert, have a good one.
And you can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit.